What's up, Faithful? Welcome back to The Saloon, presented by Cisco. I'm your 49ers team reporter, Briana Jeannel. Today, my special guest is Guy Haberman, one of this season's amazing play-by-play announcers. Guy, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Bri. It's great to be here.
I know. So you have done play-by-play for the Niners. For the preseason, I've seen you at practices. How has it been? How are you liking the new role?
It's been fun. The 3 preseason games and now getting ready for the first radio game with the Seahawks filling in for Greg. It's been fun. It's been, challenging because obviously I think I want what everybody wants, which is Greg Papa back and healthy. Like, that guy is truly one of the best there is at what he does. And, he's been a friend to me and an awesome person. So from that standpoint, it's challenging. And it's definitely challenging because he's excellent. So I don't try to do what he would do, because he does things that, it's like replacing the best athlete. Like, you can't try and run as fast or jump as high. So it's been great. Tim Ryan's been awesome. Being around the team for several years, it's been cool because I feel like I have a relationship with a lot of fans through my, YouTube channel. And so those people have been like rooting for me in the comments, which is fun,
Yeah.
So that's been really cool. So it's been great.
Absolutely. Our hearts are with Papa during this time. But as you've gotten your legs in doing play-by-play for the Niners now, what's it like really diving deep into the faithful fan base? And what are you most excited to start the season with?
Well, like a rivalry game.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
so,
fun.
And I heard I get a black jersey for being here today, right? Is that
Yes,
right? I get to take that home with me?
I don't make that, decision. I'll talk to people, but
Okay, thank you. Just being play by like I am somebody who watches, as I know, you did before you were working here, is like every play. When I'm sitting at home watching the Niners, I got 2 screens. One's on a 10-second delay, so I can watch a play and then watch a play again. So, when you're calling a game, you are so involved in every play. And to be able to talk about the play, not like, hey, yelling at my wife, like, come look at what just happened, but like with Tim Ryan.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, I think that's a sign of a true fan. My mom would talk about her grandfather watching these games when, Bill Walsh was coaching, and how he'd have 2 TVs stacked on top of each other and a radio, because he's trying to get every perspective of the game. So it's really cool to see how that now translates to the modern time. Are you like, before stepping into this role, like a red zone fanatic and seeing all the games happening at one time, or you're concentrated on
If the Niners
one?
are on, I don't have red zone on.
Yeah, clearly.
If the Niners are on, I don't have red zone on. If the Niners are on, now I may have, monitor 3 might have red zone or another big game on, but I'm really not. I'm not like, it's there, but I'm really not paying attention, just because I would be, when I'm home, I'm taking notes on every play. So, you can't really watch Red Zone. There's too much going on Red Zone, which I love it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But if the Niners are on, that's where my attention.
And there's too much going on in a Niners game.
And
You've got to know.
Yes.
You got to predict what's about to happen.
That's exactly right. There's too much going on in a Niner game. So, that's where the attention has to be. I've seen some guys over the years who will be calling a game and like watching another game on an iPad. God bless them for having that ability, but I don't have that ability.
Oh, good. Well, there was a lot that happened even during the offseason, during training camp, as we ramped up through the preseason. So as you were calling those games, bring us up to speed on what you saw during the preseason and what you're excited to see pop out come week 1.
I thought one of the really cool things was to see individually the guys in the secondary, Bernardo Green, after last year, Damador Lenore, Marquise Siegel, the rookie, Upton Stout, the rookie, Jason Pinnock, who's new at safety. To see individually all of those guys look good, but we haven't gotten to see them all together yet. They didn't play a snap together in the preseason. So that is at the top of my list of things that was cool in the preseason, but wasn't the total package yet, that I think is really exciting about week 1. So that's the big one on my list.
Yeah, and I mean, on the other side of the ball, we haven't seen a guy like Christian McCaffrey. We see him during practice. Right. What have you seen from him and the offensive side of the ball? Because the faithful haven't gotten to see it, on TV yet.
Yeah, Christian's so unique. I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. Like, there aren't a lot of guys whose high school tape, college tape, and NFL tape all looks the same. He's like, he is dominating at Valor Christian. It's like, oh, okay. But then he's dominating at Stanford, and then he's dominating for the Panthers, then he's dominating for the 49ers. Like, it's not normal. And watching him in training camp, he he's a machine. Now he's at his best when people are trying to tackle him and you can see everybody missing or how he's setting up blocks or how he's catching or how he's protecting. But I thought he's looked so explosive. He's looked so fast, so ready to roll. And Kittle. The other guy I would say is we saw a little bit of Ricky Pearsall, a little bit in that Raider. He caught 3 catches. He had caught 3 balls in that first drive against the Raiders. 2 of them were first downs. He and Brock have looked really good together. I thought every practice, before Juwan Jennings went out with the calf, he was dominating practice. And Ricky Pearsall picked up where he left off once he kind of became the number 1 guy in practice.
Yeah, it's cool to hear the stories about how they really get to work during the offseason. And he shares in pressers, like during OTAs, how he worked with Brock during the offseason and how he was really intentional about that. But then you actually see that work come to life in practice and seeing their connection just fire off during those team drills or those 11-on-11s. It's a lot of fun. So now I'm excited to see that translate into the regular season and hear you make the call. It's going to be a lot of fun this week. Now, tell me about, you talked a little bit about the individual guys on the secondary. So tell me about some preseason player impressions. Are there any players that fans should keep their eye on as they're watching week 1 this week?
Well, I think one of the big questions will be I think every fan who pays attention to the Niners was really interested to see Nick Martin, especially knowing, you're replacing Dre Greenlaw. I think lost in that a little bit has been, what about D. Winters, who does seem like he's kind of taken a step this year in the preseason and is ready to really, kind of run beside Fred. But everybody knows you don't get through a season with 2 linebackers. So I think, the preseason was about D. Winters versus Nick Martin. And it's so hard for a rookie like Nick Martin to come in and just play right away. But he got better every week of the preseason. Every game was better. And his speed is undeniable. By week 3, he was making plays on special teams too, which he'll have to contribute there. So I think those 2 guys, let's not talk about Nick because he's flashy and new, and we should talk about him. But instead of talking about D. Winters, I think both those guys deserve, and the Niners are going to need both of them. And I think both of them, I think we'll see D. Winters take a step, and I think we'll see Nick Martin take steps, as the season goes along. And here's the other thing. We didn't, you were doing all this stuff, we didn't get to see Michael Williams on the field. Let's not forget about the number 11 pick in the draft. That's pretty awesome. All these guys are fired up about him. Trent Williams, we talked to him during the 3rd preseason game, loves him. I think it's been really cool to see Alfred Collins, some of the stuff that, Nick Bosa has helped him with in the same way that Fred Warner's helped Tatum Bethune kind of get himself in better shape. So I think you're seeing kind of with so many young players last year and this year, especially on defense, the leadership qualities that the defensive stars have, now they've got people to use them on, and they're doing it. And I think that'll pay dividends.
Yeah, if we're talking leadership on the defense, tell me about Robert Saleh. He's back in the Bay. What have you learned from him, and how do you pick his brain when it goes to making the call?
Well, I know Tim Ryan loves him. Any chance he gets to talk about Tim, and I think Gus Bradley, this is interesting too, right? Week 1, Gus Bradley was kind of the father of the Legion of Boom secondary in Seattle. It doesn't look the same. Some of these are not the 6'3" long corners that Seattle had, but they're really tough, just like those Legion of Boom guys. We've seen it with Lenore, ready to scrap at any moment. Upton Stout in practice is always ready to go. Renardo Green is always ready to go. So I think it'll be interesting to see how Saleh's defense is different than the last time he was here, what the influence of Gus Bradley is in this secondary. I think there's going to be a lot going on. It's going to be complicated. So for the young guys that play, they have to get up to speed very quickly. And they're not really showing their hand in the preseason. So I think that'll be one of the fun things early against Sam Darnold. Spencer Rattler week 2 for the Saints, Kyler Murray week 3. I think everyone's expecting this defense to have such a big impact there. The fundamental still needs to be, Bree, stop the run.
Yeah, exactly.
Got to stop the run. But they invested a lot in the draft to try and do that. So, all the little things, but all these guys it's not all of them, but so many of the key leaders on defense are so comfortable with him, respect him so much, see him run around the sidelines fired up. That might be the best part. So I'm
exactly.
excited.
Well, as we're talking Seattle, what are some of the top storylines you're following as we enter week 1?
Seattle has I think they feel like a really good offensive line, but it's young. And they've battled some injury stuff before. They're healthy. Their first-round pick was a guard, Gray Zabel. who Daniel Jeremiah had mocked to the Niners the day before the draft. So, like, the type of guy you think that the Niners would also like. So can the Niners kind of new look defensive line win that battle? I mean, of course, there's the Sam Darnold part of it. Like, know him so well from being here. I know you do. Like, he was an awesome guy to have here. And now he's got this incredible opportunity for himself. So that team was 5th in the league last year in pass percentage. They threw the ball more than everybody but 4 other teams last year. It feels like they've shifted to a run for – we've got a Kubiak calling plays up there. So it is run the ball, play action. So I think it's going to be kind of what Mike McDonald, the head coach, you would think a defensive coach from the Ravens would want, which is like kind of what Kyle Shanahan would want. With Sean like a physical run first team. I think that's what they're going to be. And I think this will feel a little like it doesn't have the history that some of those big playoff games, some of those like Pete Carroll games had. But I think it'll feel like that style of play. I think Seattle's going to feel different than they have with Jeannel at quarterback in previous years. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we spoke to the Seahawks reporter, John Boyle, over in Seattle. You're going to see that later in this episode. But he talked about that familiarity with the 49ers offense and Seattle's offense, how they've got Kubiak's calling the plays over there, how Sam Darnold's over there, and all about establishing the run. So what makes that fun when you're watching the game and you can see how these offenses are trying to match up? Those games feel like every play and every possession matters. Mm-hmm. When two teams play that way, there might be 5 possessions and a half total, like combined. Like 6. You're not getting that many shots at it. So you better score in the red zone, touchdowns. And we know that's a big emphasis for the 49ers this year, and having Christian McCaffrey back is a big deal. But to me, you just know from the opening possession, every possession's going to matter, and that's really cool. Awesome. And you are a longtime Niner fan. So from your perspective, also as a broadcaster, what makes this rivalry exciting? How is the NFC West division shaping up this season? And what are you excited to see? Because, it's Niners versus Seahawks bookending the season to start it and to close the regular season. So I don't know, what makes the Niners versus Seahawks matchup just so exciting? That somebody's taken something from somebody before. It's like, the streak that the Niners had against McVay was awesome. McVay then wins in the postseason, and it just takes it to another level. You think about Dre Greenlaw making a stop right on the goal line late in the season in Seattle, like all that stuff. You've got Seattle and San Francisco have a little just like the areas have a little rivalry, right? Like, and so I think that's. All of that stuff makes it cool. I think for a long time, Niner fans were like, all right, Seattle, like you came up with the uniforms and like your new fan base, whatever. But they've been around long enough now. That place is loud enough. Like you have to respect it. You got to respect the team. You got to respect the style of play with Pete Carroll. And now I think it's going to be physical like that again. There's just this division is not. It's a hard division. The Cardinals have taken from the Niners many a times, and. The Niners played in so many close games last year in this division. Lost a lot of close games by a small amount of, 4 games by 13 total points or whatever it was. So these games just matter so much. Especially this year when you look at it and go, who's going to win the division? We go look, if we went and looked at if we picked 20 preseason predictions, at least 3 different teams are getting picked. Arizona's maybe getting picked a little bit too, but I was looking at some stuff yesterday. People are taking the Rams. People are taking the Niners. People are taking the Seahawks. So these games really matter. It's totally up in the air. And going on the road for week 1, when we talk about Seattle, the first thing we talk about is just the environment and how loud it is, the 12th man, everything. But did you notice how in Vegas, it's a little bit different, a team that's been moving around, but the Sea of Red, that's just been a storyline for the faithful fan base no matter where they go. Yeah. Seattle is a different beast. The 12th man is alive and well there, but would you ever call out if you start seeing, more red in the stands than that blue and green? Absolutely, because that place and New Orleans week 2 is the same, right? Like that is such a home field advantage. And if you can mitigate it a little bit, then that's a big deal. So, yes, I will take a close eye at that. I know Niner fans love to see when there's red.
Yeah.
It goes back for years. Go to Dallas, show off all the red. Go to LA, show off all the red at SoFi. So, it's a big deal. And I mean, there's a lot of red. There will be. Seattle does a good job though. Like those fans, they try to keep Niner fans out, which is what a fan base should do. But it is one of the interesting parts of the pre-kick. It's like, how many Niner fans are here? And you'll hear it.
That's the first thing I look for.
When do you notice it? I notice I notice it when Juszczyk touches the ball first.
Yeah.
Right? It's like juice. Like, okay, Niner fans are here.
Well, what's fun when you're on the road and we see the pregame warm-ups, all of the fans will get closer to the field to watch the players warm up. And so that's when you start to see it, but you never really know until kickoff. And then the home field team comes in and then there's a mix. But, like we were just saying, it's really impressive when we see that full red stand. But it'll be extra impressive if we get to see it in Seattle, just knowing their legacy and how big that fan base is over in Seattle. So really cool to see, hoping to see that sea of red in week 1. But Guy, thank you so much for joining me on the Saloon today. Any parting words with the faithful as we get ready for the season premiere?
The Super Bowl's here. So let's do this all the way into February, right? That's the idea. That'd be fun.
That would be so fun. Guy, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in Seattle.
All right, Bri.
Today, I'm sitting across Colton McKivitz. Colton, thanks for joining us in the Saloon. How are you feeling? How was practice today?
That's awesome. Thanks for having me. It was a little warm, but, it's always good to kind of the actual last practice of camp. So now it's on to bonus Monday in Seattle. So excited,
Exactly.
Good practice, and ready for the 3-day weekend.
Yeah, we're in that transition period of summer football going into the fall. So it's exciting that, it's football season. Now, I've got this on the table. The Rivalry's uniform. I want to hear your initial reaction when you first saw it and just your thoughts on the new uniform this year.
I love the black. I mean, obviously as a lineman, when we're in the all whites, we don't look as dashing. So to have the blacks on, it's going to be a little slimming. I love the Saloon letters. I mean, it's just classic lettering. They're pretty dope. We had a meeting earlier on, so we couple of us got to see him early, and it was pretty sick to get eyes on it, and now everyone knows about it. So they're pretty sweet.
Yeah, I heard some of the guys even had some input in creating the jersey. Did you get to hear about that? And
Yeah,
how
that was part of the leadership council. Yeah, we were in it, so we got to
What
juice.
was that like?
It was cool. I mean, obviously they're like, hush, hush, you can't talk about this for a year. So I don't have any style, but Juice, obviously, with his background, and Kristen, so he had a lot of inputs, and Fred, and those guys, they love being stylish. So, but I mean, they did a great job with it, and excited to wear it.
That's awesome. All right, now let's reflect a little bit on that summer ball, like we were talking about, looking at training camp. You've shared that this is the most fit you've ever been. You have really big goals ahead of yourself this year. So when you're reflecting on this year's training camp, what were some of your biggest personal takeaways?
Just that what I put out there, and wanting to be a Pro Bowl, like that's a goal for me this year. And the things that I want to do on the field and how I want it to look, it was just reassured every week and every practice that I had, just because I was able to stack good on great days, and build on things, and not take a step back. That was kind of one of the biggest things, is like every day I had a goal going into it, what I wanted to work on, and then obviously show that what I had done in the off season, or as we call it, on season, what I was putting out there was shown during camp. So I was able to do that. Obviously had some great battles with Nick and, Samo and Huff and all those guys, and had a great day down in, Vegas with Max. So, obviously it's not as intense as what a season game is going to be, but it shows you, what's coming and where you're at. And if you need to reflect and go, okay, now check yourself, you're not where you thought you were, and here's what to work on. But it's just a reinsurance for me, and that I'm exactly where I want to be.
I love hearing that. Now, if the off season is called the on season, is the in season called, or is it just on season and in season?
It's just we're always on.
Always on.
Yeah, there's nothing off about it. I think it's more busier than the season for me. I enjoy when the season comes because it takes a lot off me. So
yeah, you get back into that cycle of a game week.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love it. Now, speaking of game weeks, we're heading into week 1 versus Seattle. Let's take a look at it. What's your mindset like heading into Seattle? Does it bring any extra intensity that you'll start the season off on the road?
It's going to be intense. I mean, it always is. Usually it's been a Thursday night game for I don't know how many years. So it'll be different than in the past, but for it to be the week one opener, I mean, it's going to be loud, even though it's I think a 1 o'clock kick, but it's going to be rowdy. That's all it is in Seattle. I mean, I'm going to be looking forward to our fan right on the corner to talk smack with pregame and everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a fun place to play. We're going to have to really come together early just because we're going to be using silent and it's going to be loud and rocking. So it'll be a good test for us. I mean, it always is with Seattle. They have a great defense and, Sam being over there, that'll be fun. So, always looking forward to the first one, but having a conference game as your opener is, it's kind of a must win. So for it to be the first week, it's going to be fun.
Looking a little bit beyond week one, week two is also on the road in New Orleans. What's it like starting the season off in back-to-back road games?
Yeah, I mean, obviously talk about loud, that's another week. So we're going to get real used to using silent. I played there in 20, didn't go great. Obviously COVID, we didn't get the full feeling of New Orleans. So for it to be week two, it's going to be loud again. It's going to be full. I don't know if it'll be 19 all over again, but I'm sure there'll be lots of points scored. So to open the season with 2 turf games, 2 loud road games, we're going to find out real quick on offense how close we are and where we're at. Just because with communication and procedural stuff, we're going to have to be locked in and in the noise. So it'll be a good checkpoint for us, and obviously it'll be a fun environment. When you go in and win in places like that, it's fun to walk out quiet. So it'll hopefully be good for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, I want to dive a little bit deeper into what your personal journey has been like here with the Niners. You're entering year 6 now with the team. How do you feel you've grown as a player and as a leader? Because now you're one of the vets on the team. There's a lot of rookies on the squad.
Yeah, I think in experience here, it's like I'm 5th or 6th on the team. I think me and Trent came in the same exact day. We met each other at the hotel. So been here a while. Obviously hasn't gone as smooth as I want it to in the beginning of being cut and, P squad and then, COVID and everything that happened before. But I had to do a lot of soul searching and who I was as a player and, my confidence and where I wanted to be. And I think everything that happened leading up to that has gotten me to this point. It's exactly where I need to be. It's the exact spot that's been planned out. So I'm kind of at all-time confidence of where I'm at. And just thankful for the journey I've been on. Obviously, I love this place. I love the Niners. I love looking, at the greats on the wall and just the way this team's set up and who we are. It's a brotherhood, and obviously when you have the faithful behind you, it helps too. So it's been an exciting 4 years. I mean, we've won a lot of games, so to be a part of that and winning, we haven't won the big one. It's been tough, but to be a leader on this team, it's there's a lot of roles that aren't available. You got guys like George and Brock and Trent and Fred. I mean, everywhere that's who they are. That's what this team's built on. But to be able to kind of lead a room and be a part and use that with Trent and, kind of learn from him on how he leads and where I can fit my, self into in that leadership role and take guys aside and share my experience of being cut. And then seeing where I am now, I think it's pretty helpful. And it's kind of a cool story of guys who think it's the worst day of the year. There's a light at the end of the tunnel where, you can really get yourself out of it and have a career.
Yeah, I think reflecting on your journey here in the Bay is that everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
It all is a part of your story. With a lot of rookies being on the squad this year, if you were to go back and talk to your rookie self, what would you tell them? What advice would you give rookie Colton McKivitz?
Don't take a day for granted. Just because you kind of get lulled. Rookie year, it's such a long year. I mean, they're coming out of college. They don't have a lot of time. They get straight in the combine and everything that a rookie does. I didn't get to experience it with COVID, and neither did any of the rookies that came with me. So we kind of fast-tracked in. But I would definitely tell them don't take a day for granted. Whatever you're doing, obviously do it to the fullest and then have a plan for it. Like, what are your goals in the future? Where do you want to be at after, the week, a month, the next couple months? At the end of the season, what do you want to look like and where do you want your career to go? Because if you don't think about it, it's going to be gone by the time you're done. That's why they call it the NFL. It's not for long. So it's long-winded, but, I mean, don't take advantage for what the opportunity we're given.
Golden. Now, take me inside the O-line room.
Mm-hmm.
What are the personalities like this year? If you could describe what the O-line room is like right now, how would you describe the guys?
Pretty tight. I mean, that's kind of the comment. The offensive line is supposed to be the tightest group on on the team. You know, we have 5 guys who are all doing one job, and we each have our own, but we're using it as a unit. And it's one of the only positions to protect a person or a player on a team. So we have to be the tightest, and we are. There's a lot of laughs. We do like to, you know, take jabs at each other, which is just who we are. We're big dudes, so we do get made fun of a lot. But so we like to have fun with each other. We'll have some decorating coming up for the rookies, but they're a little quiet right now. But you're starting to see personality come out as camp goes, and everything slows down for them a little bit, and they get more comfortable in the room and where they fit in the dynamic of who's where, leadership. It's cool to see personalities come out. I mean, Ben Barch is an absolute hoot. I mean, he's movie quotes, songs. If you want to laugh, go to Ben. Jake's kind of the old man in the group. So anything football wise or wisdom you need from him, go to him, or financial. He's very financially.
So the dad.
He's the dad of the group. But no, it's a very tight knit group. We love spending time with each other. We find each other if we're not together. So that's how tight we are. It's just a fun group to be in. And obviously we play hard for each other and we communicate well. That's what the job is, but we have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, that's sweet. You guys keep each other accountable. I love it.
Oh yeah, we do for sure.
Now, what would you say is the biggest strength of this year's O-line?
I would say our running. That's what this offense is built off of. I think we always joke with the combos and George and Juice and Christian. We kind of take little jabs like, do we run the same amount of yardages as you do in practice? I think he runs 2,400 and we're running 2,300. So I think that's the biggest advantage for this group is take advantage of what the scheme is. That's what we're there for. That's what Kyle does. It's what, you know, Coach Furster tells us to do. It's what he coaches us on. And if we do our part, you know, that's obviously going to help us. But then, you know, finishing, I think it's a group that's going to play for each other. And that's one of the coolest things is when we do and we're all on the same page, a lot of good things happen. I think we saw that in 23 and, you know, hopefully we're going to emulate that this year.
Awesome. Today, I'm joined by the Seahawks senior digital media reporter, John Boyle. John, how are you? Are you excited for week 1?
I am great. Thank you. And yeah, this is a really, really fun time of year. Just, you know, we go through all the training camp and preseason to get to this point and have a meaningful game and a division game, no less, to kick things off.
Yeah, that's right. Well, take the faithful into Seattle. Give us the state of the Seahawks, how the offseason went for your team, and some of the biggest storylines heading into the regular season.
Yeah, really interesting offseason in that you had one side of the ball where it's kind of all about continuity and the other side where everything changed. You know, defensively, Mike McDonald came in last year, the defensive-minded head coach, helped revamp that defense, really turn things around second half of the season. And then they bring back 10 of the 11 starters from the end of last season. The only change, Draymond Jones is no longer with the team, and DeMarcus Lawrence was brought in to replace him, you know, plus some guys they added in the draft, most notably Nick Emanwari, the second-round pick, the safety who's going to kind of be a all-over-the-field kind of player for them. And then you go to offense, and it's tons of new faces, new quarterback, new receivers, and then a new scheme. They brought in Clint Kubiak to take over, a guy the 49ers fans probably remember from his time there as the passing game coordinator not too long ago under Kyle Shanahan. So, yeah, new scheme, a lot of new faces, new quarterback. So, yeah, it's, you know, defensively, I think everyone expects, hey, you know, you should pick up where you left off, and this should be a great defense. And offensively, you know, they love what they've done, and they're confident, but it's a lot of, you know, unknowns from fans coming in. They're not sure what they're going to see yet.
Yeah, well, with so much newness on the offensive side of the ball, take us in a little deeper. The team has brought in, like you mentioned, Clint Kubiak as the offensive coordinator, brothers with 49ers OC Clay, signed Sam Darnold at quarterback, brought in Cooper Kupp as an offensive weapon. So how are things shaping up on that side of the ball?
Yeah, you know, everybody involved is really excited about what they've seen. It was, you know, probably more change than they anticipated in the offseason. There was, you know, another world exists where they probably extend Geno Smith and DK Metcalf, but those deals, you know, didn't work out, and they were able to pivot pretty quickly and trade both those players early enough in the offseason that they could go out and sign, you know, the top free agent and Sam Darnold at that position. They were able to bring in Cooper Kupp. You know, it's kind of a homecoming from him. He's from Washington State, so that's exciting. Yeah, and then, you know, the big thing that you're going to hear anybody talk about this offense is the run game. They did not run the ball very often or very well last season. I think they were 29th in attempts and 28th in average rushing yards per attempt. So they just, you know, it wasn't something they did well last year. They kind of lacked the identity, and that's something that was really big about bringing Clint Kubiak in. It's like, He's going to run, a very similar offense to what the 49ers do. The Kubiak family and the Shanahan family go way back in the coaching world. So I think it's going to look familiar schematically, but they really expect this run game to be better. They expect the new scheme and the coaching to help this offensive line be a lot better than it was. The big addition to that line was first round pick Gray Zabel, who's going to be their starting left guard. But more than I think any personnel change up front, they really expect this scheme to help that offensive line be a lot better.
Yeah, well, now we've found our way to week 1. After training camp and the preseason, what are you most excited to see from this 2025 Seahawks group as we enter the regular season?
Yeah, I just touched on it, but I really want to see how they run the ball. The one game that they played their starters in the preseason, their second game against Kansas City, they came out that first drive and just ran the ball right out of the gate, ran it really well, went down the field, scored a touchdown. Even with their backups in, they've run the ball very well in the preseason. So can that translate? Can that help the offensive line just, be a better unit, play a lot better up front? Because, they have all the faith in the world in Sam Darnold, but as everyone knows, the quarterback's best friend is a good running game. So if they can do that, take some pressure off him, I think, we're all operating under the assumption that this defense is going to be really darn good. Like they bring everybody back. Mike Macdonald's scheme is a proven one that's had a lot of success. So the bigger question mark is, what does this offense look like? And I think if they can run the ball well and come out and do that right out of the gate, that's going to be a really strong indicator for this season.
Totally. We know exactly what you're talking about. Now, we're starting the season off hot with a division rivalry. Which position battles or maybe individual matchups stand out as the most important against San Francisco this Sunday?
Less than individuals, I think it's just how they match up front. Obviously it's no secret the 49ers have had the better end of this rivalry in recent years. And for the most part, they've been the better team up front. And that's been one of the big differences is like they're the team winning those battles in the trenches. And the Seahawks, they feel like they've gotten a lot better on both sides of the ball. I mean, defensively, their defensive line was a pretty big strength last year, and they expect it to be again. And again, offensively, they feel like the addition of Gray Zabel, just some of the things schematically, I think that's going to help them. So if they can be better up front and get the ball moving in the run game, I really think that's where the Seahawks can make the biggest leap this year.
All right, a battle in the trenches. I'm excited to see it. Now, speaking of the division, how does Seattle view the NFC West race this year? And what does this early matchup with the 49ers mean for both teams?
Yeah, it's funny. Mike McDonald's asked, how do you feel like you stack up against the division? And he's like, look, I really don't care. And it wasn't like to be flippant, but it was like, for him, he cares about where his team is at and making sure that they're where they need to be and kind of let the chips fall. And he feels like if they do what they should do, they're in good position. I think most people, myself included, look at this division and it's tough to handicap. Like every team believes they can be in it. And I think for good reason. You can make a good argument for every team. You can make a good argument for, maybe a flaw on every team. So no one game is going to decide the division, but certainly when you start out with a division rival, it's a great chance to sort of set that tone early on and state your case. But yeah, I'd be shocked if when we see each other again in week 18, if there's not going to be a lot on the line for both teams.
Well, week 1, it's going to be a fun one, clearly. John, thank you so much for joining the Saloon, and I'll see you in Seattle on Sunday.
Of course. Have a good trip up. We'll see you Sunday.
Bye.